This is TNA, the new face of professional wrestling.
Oh, there's the super kick. Apollo just cut this.
I cannot believe it, but he has made a believer out of me. He did it tonight. He came in here focused. He took everything Shamrock could give him. He took everything Shamrock could give him. He's now grabbing Rohender.
Knock out him again. Kill him.
This is the Pro Wrestling Spotlight, presented by Hami Media and the Pro Wrasslin Reflection, where we discuss the very best of the best in pro wrestling history.
And what you gonna do when Hulkamania and the largest arms in the world run wild on you?
The two soundest wrestlers in the World Wrestling Federation, maybe in the history of the World Wrestling Federation, are right here, right now. Mr. Perfect and the excellence of execution, the Hitman.
WrestleMania weekend isn't complete without the Heartbreak Kid, and he is on his way.
He put hard times on Dusty Rhodes and his family.
They think they got the answers. I change the question.
You will rest in peace.
Get used to it in Ric Flair. Who you're looking at, the man. This man! What the
What is going on there, Reflection Knights? What is going on there to the Vitoites, the Hami Knights, the probationary solitary confinement PWCites? What is going on to all the ites all over the world? You know, it's crazy. Yeah, I keep saying the world is crazy. The world is changing. It's apocalyptic to a degree, but you know, we haven't reached Walking Dead parameters apocalypse. We haven't reached Mad Max apocalypse yet, but we're getting there. Maybe in another 5 years, I don't know. But before that happens, Reflection Nights, we are your bastion of goodness. We are your escapism. We are the entertainment value for free here at the Hami Media Group at PWR.com. I ain't getting paid for this. TW ain't getting paid for this because JD, the HVAC king of South Florida, he has been dodging us with the checks. I'm supposed to get a check from JB. TW's supposed to get a check from JB. Ben Hameen, the Hami Media Group, where's our checks been? I mean, you know, I do this for free because I love professional wrestling. I love nostalgia, but you know what? I need to eat. I need the lights on. I need a roof over my head. I need some, 10% off of that weed that you're selling, but neither here nor there. But welcome to the PWR podcast here at the Hami Media Group at PWR.com, and welcome to a very special Spotlight Edition, Championship Edition Spotlight, where we will talk about what's over my shoulder right now, Reflection Nights. That's right, the little engine that could of a promotion for 23 years strong. It's been through 3 name changes. It's gone through 2 promotion partnerships. It's gone through some management upheaval, if you will, Reflection Nights. And we are talking about total non-stop action. First, it was NWA TNA. Then it was Impact Wrestling. Then for a little bit, it was Global Force. And now it's back to its original roots of TNA Wrestling. But before we get into this, I must introduce myself because I am vain like that. I must introduce myself because, again, I got grays on my chin, I got grays on my head, I got grays in my ears. I gotta lose them when I give a glorious introduction. I am the charismatic one, I am the affluent one, I'm the effervescent one, I'm the sexy one, but most importantly, I am the glorious one. The only objective man in this IWC, YWC, PWC punditry. The only objective man in this Twitterverse. The only objective man in this social media conundrum. The effervescent Professor Chabela Cruz. And I'm not here alone. No. I'm here, my brother from another mother, the conservative liberal liberal conservative, dum-dum doing idiot zone, the iron stomach one, Dr. Frankenstein, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world, the Tommy Wonder. How you doing, my friend?
Michigan champion. Michigan. Also 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9-time fantasy football champion for money. Not no bullshit free leagues on ESPN like you do. Real ones, baby. Real ones. And by the way, I'm gonna pray for you that guy doesn't win. I know you're in New Jersey, but if that dude wins New York's mayor shit, crime is gonna spill over that bridge that took me 2 hours to get across to come back home from that Jets game. But I can't believe that guy. Well, whatever. But I'm doing good, man. I'm sore. I golfed twice last week. Since we last talked, I golfed on Wednesday and on Sunday, and this arm does not work above here. It does a little bit right now because I just walked Jackson about 2 miles. So other than that, I'm broken. You're going to hit the wall. 49 and a half. That's the wall, Professor.
Did you get influenced by Happy Gilmore that you wanted to golf like crazy, and then that's why your shoulder's hurting?
No, because 2 years ago, I golfed quite a bit. Last year, I didn't golf as much because I was paddleboarding. This year, I've been paddleboarding twice. One time, I also got on someone else's paddleboard on a boat, but they had a paddleboard that they blew up, and I took that around the bay a little bit by myself. He went to visit people I didn't know, so once I realized I didn't know him, I kept going. But
Wait, hold up. Reflection. I know I'm I'm always transparent. This motherfucker's taking off his socks right now, picking his toe jams. What the fuck?
I didn't pick shit. I took the sock off. Fun fact about me, I don't think I've ever said this on the show before, but first and foremost, public announcement, make it official so you can stop saying it every week. Dum Dum Do an Idiot are no mas. The two Dum Dums broke up, and I'm the biggest piece of trash, and I'm a douchebag. My girlfriend's a douchebag. You know, all the stuff narcissists say when their girlfriend finally does leave them, and they got to blame everyone but themselves. So me and that guy are no longer friends. I wish him well. That's not to say I won't start my own stuff. I'm actually considering it, but
you're still the idiot. So
I'm still the idiot. So it could be an idiot and two dum-dums. That way we avoid copyright infringement because maybe Stacy and Tony will do it. It'll be me and my girlfriend with our friend Stacy instead of 2 dudes and 1 girl. But secondly, what did you say to make me say that?
I didn't say anything. I talked about golf. I talked about Happy Gilmore.
Oh, the golf. No, we talked about the golf, but then something about the.
I talked about the toe jam, taking off your socks, trying to.
Yes, there it is. So my entire life, if I don't know that I would want to be a nudist, that's not what I want to do. I'm not a fan of long sleeves. Personally, I would call those straight jackets. I don't like them. I also think it's a sign that it's cold outside. So I think I associate long sleeves with cold out. Like, I hate this weather change, just so you know. But in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, I'll be in Mexico and I will be warm again. But shoes and socks, I would go my whole life without wearing either one of them if possible. And I can't wear them little flip-flops that you wear where you put the little strap between your big toe and that middle finger toe that you got. Because you got a second pair of hands. A lot of people don't know that your feet look like hands. So you probably wear gloves instead of socks. But
you know what they say about big feet and hands, right?
Big feet, big shoes. Yep. So these socks I had on because I just walked my dog 2 miles, and it's a little chilly out there. And I think one of the reasons my hip is still killing me is those Hey Dudes, and they don't sponsor us. This is not a ringing endorsement. They're not very comfortable on your feet when you do a lot of stuff. They are not concert shoes, nor are Pumas, by the way. And they're not walking your dog shoes, especially not 2 miles. I thought they were very comfortable when I first got them. They are for sitting around and doing nothing, not for strolls. So I had socks on because I wore a nicer pair of Nikes. And somehow I had them on. The socks were still on after I was done walking the dog. Took my shoes off, ate some food, and did not take the socks off. So I'm sitting here with you in my comfort Zen place in my room. I can't be wearing foot prisons because that's what they're called. And the reason I said the stuff about the dumb doing idiot is because Matt, he's the one that I learned the term foot prisons from because that's what he calls shoes and socks. And so
don't you wear Crocs?
No, I don't. I have 2 pairs. I bought them for boating. They're not the most comfortable thing either, dude. Slides are your best friends, but you got to get the all plastic ones, because if you wear them on a cruise ship and then you go walking on the beach or whatever and they get wet, they're gross and you have to throw them away. But if they're all the stuff made out of the same material as Crocs, then you're good.
Okay. Well, we learned something today, boys and girls.
But this is for Ray.
Okay.
I had opened this before you and I were while you were talking, but there it is. Just picked this up in Canada. Went and visited my good friend Jeffrey over in Canada. I remember everybody who's listening, keep praying for him. He's fighting that cancer. And I went over and I picked this up because my other buddy Chris Valentino found that for me in the wild. And as we were talking, it comes with a bag of goodies, and I just assumed it was the hands and everything else, right? You can change his thumbs up to fist if you want to fight him. And of course, this is what I'm going to put on there. These are the old, anybody remembers the old LJN figures? Ricky Steamboat was in this pose with his hand like he was about to karate chop you. And so these are the hands I'm going to put on there. These are also the hands that you use when you're on the subway and you're grabbing at some dude's butt right there. So those, but look what else is in there. This is what I popped for, that I thought Professor would pop for, and therefore Big Ray. You ready?
I'm ready.
The Kimono dragon. Maybe that's why he's got this, so he can hold it up in the air by its tail.
You know what's a fun fact?
What?
That, he only did the Komodo dragon in the WWE probably like once or twice.
Oh, I know. He did it when he fought Jake.
Yeah.
He brought it out because it was a snake-eating Kimono dragon. Look at that thing. That's like me and Jackson.
But you know what? It's funny because Jake was committed to the gimmick, bringing the snake everywhere. Ricky wasn't. So,
Yeah, because Ricky was scared of that damn thing as well. He should have been.
That could be a future what if. What if Ricky was committed to the Komodo dragon? But anyway, neither here nor there, because we're not talking about feet. We're not talking about golf. We're not talking about dumb doing edits and trademark infringements and all that stuff. Was
that after Macho Man or before?
Before.
All that Jake the Snake and Rick Rude stuff was before Macho Man?
No. Jake was the first feud of Ricky Steamboat that was high value. Then it was Savage.
Really? I did not know that.
Yeah. But anyway, can I get on with the show? The people
yes, you can.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and then I also got this. You're not familiar with the terminology in the business, but this right here, these are black boots, green and gold gear. But if you find her in red boots, in blue and gold or whatever, that's the regular. This is the chase. That's where they sell it. You got to keep your eye out for it. There's a Kevin Nash coming out, Diesel. He's got the black shirt, it's regular. The white shirt that says Diesel Power is the chase. That's it.
You're the collector. I'm not really the collector. So with that being said, let's get on with the show, Reflectionites. Let's get on with this special spotlight edition on TW, because we are spotlighting a championship belt with a legacy that, again, it spans name changes, it spans management, it spans promotional partnerships, and we are talking about total nonstop action. The little engine that could, the promotion that that was Big Ray's big break with Bill Apter and OneWrestling.com, Reflectionites, that he did the TNA weekly review shows on that YouTube stream and all that stuff. So with that being said, TW, we got to talk about this little engine that is called TNA Wrestling. Total nonstop action and all that stuff that started in 2002, because the first name was NWA TNA, because that was the hook to get you in, because you had to have a known name like the National Wrestling Alliance, even though it did not have as much of a, let's say, name value in the 2000s as it did in the 1980s TW, but it was a hook nonetheless. Then, in the 2010s, they try to rebrand themselves after the TNA thing to Impact Wrestling itself. Then again, we talk about Global Force Wrestling with Jeff Jarrett and all that stuff, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And then, of course, this comes back to TNA Wrestling. But TW, again, through the Jeff Jarrett and Jerry Jarrett era, through the Dixie Carter era, through the what's that dude's name? The NWA owner, Bill. What's his name?
Billy Corgan.
The Billy Corgan era, and now the Anthem era and all that stuff. TW, It's the little engine that could. It's the cockroach that you can step on but never dies. It's TNA Wrestling. What say you about this organization? Again,
you know what? It took me a long time to come around to it, but I did not like it. It was just that I want to say when it first came on, it was a weekly pay-per-view thing, so I didn't watch it then. Then when it finally, once D'Amore got involved, that's when it was like, okay, maybe I should pay attention to it, but I still had no way to watch it, but I would kind of keep up with it, you know, on the internet or whatever. And then all of a sudden, all these dudes that I know are on there, so I'm thinking, damn, maybe I can try to get in this shit. But I never tried. But you know, by the time that Team Canada thing, which I knew every one of those guys, Team Canada, Petey Williams was in affection with me and Jeff Libido, and Chris Pilon and Valentino. He was more of a fill-in player when one of us wasn't there. We would use Petey or use Valentino. But it's one of those promotions that doing this show makes me appreciate it for what it is. I really think the thing that turned me off to it, their AEW fan base, would be that six-sided ring. I could not stand the six-sided ring. Although the six-sided ring with the Ultimate X match, that I liked. Or the what do they call their cage?
No, you're right. It was Ultimate X. That was
Ultimate X was the cage? But I thought that was also different because it had the X.
It was Lethal Lockdown.
Lethal Lockdown. Like I hated the Stinger splash. It always looked awkward when Sting did the splash from them different corners. It wasn't the normal corner to corner one like you would want to see. But from doing this show, I have learned to appreciate Impact, TNA, whatever. And I like it better. I didn't like when they called it Impact. I think they should have kept it as TNA. That belt behind you is absolutely beautiful. And if I could find a way to buy that belt, I would. I've asked Jeff many times. I should ask them more. Hey, man, what can you get me a TNA World Title replica for? How much would it cost me? But they're not, you know, WWE mass produces them and sells them like in the shop, like behind me. Well, most of them are gone. You just saw the other one. So this one here, this one is the lighter one. It's hard plastic instead of steel. These are now, I just looked at it. The worst thing that ever happened to wrestling business and collectors is Fanatics U taking over WWE, because that blue belt I got, Ultimate Warrior version of the Winged Eagle, I got that for like $3.99, and then I got some money off of it and all that, so I ended up getting it for like $2 something shipped. They're all $5.99 now. None of them were on sale when I looked the other day, because the North American title has grown on me. I really, really did not like it, even with Adam Cole and Johnny Gargano holding it. But I'll tell you what, if they sell a Canadian version that Ethan Page has in the shop, I'm going to absolutely consider it. But anyhow, the Impact belt, they don't have anybody selling it like that. So when you buy it, it's like $1,000. Like they'll make you one, but it's like $1,000. And so every time TNA had one, they had to just make one. And so I don't know if they do like most WWF guys, every belt they've ever had, they got a copy of it that they got to keep.
They probably do. Did you
hear what The Miz did?
What did he do?
The Miz wanted to keep the belt that he had that he was losing at WrestleMania or whatever pay-per-view it was, because, you know, that was his first world title and he wanted to keep it. So he bought a replica and then wore that to the ring to the match that he lost. And then they got the replica belt and he kept the one because he got it the exact same. But you know what I mean? Like it ain't probably
he paid money to make it as authentic.
To make another belt, and then that's the one that then got passed around to everybody, so he could keep the one that he won. I thought that was a pretty cool story. And if you watch, like even Big Ray, I haven't seen him on video in a while, but how he had the title belts behind him. You'll see a lot of guys. I think Jeff Jarrett's office has like the IC title, the Impact title, the NW World title. He's got all that kind of stuff. And I just think that's cool. And for me, wrestling in Michigan, people would buy replica belts and then paint over the WWE or the WCW and put the Great Lakes Wrestling or Michigan Wrestling Federation on there. I unified two promotions world titles. I think I've shown you the picture where I'm holding both belts. It was the big gold, the Ric Flair one, the big one. That one was Michigan Wrestling Alliance. And then the United States title not the one that Magnum TA and Luger had, the one that they made with the little U.S. flag at the top. And,
the Goldberg one.
Huh?
The Goldberg one. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The Goldberg one and Brett. That one said GOW. So I've always wanted to get one of each of those because they were titles that I held here that I could get replicas. Because the rest of the indies you wrestle on, you're not getting no nice belt. But these guys, I would say, would you say that belt behind you? And I'm not knocking AEW for all, the 4 neckbeards that listen to us that are also AEW fans. Their belt is ugly to me. I absolutely do not like the AEW world title. That belt right there is as pretty as almost it's right up there with the Winged Eagle and the Intercontinental title. For me, that thing is just stellar.
Again, I'm not a person of belt. I'm not a belt collector like that. I think, WWE, they've had their good belts. Winged Eagle's my favorite belt. The big gold belt of Ric Flair, that's one of the favorite belts. The Lex Luger 87 US belt, I love that one. TNA, they've had some designs that I kind of like gravitated towards. And AEW has some good heavy title designs too. So, I don't mind either or.
Don't you forget Tully's world television title.
You mean Arns. But anyway, neither here nor there. Let me ask you this question before we even start name dropping these TNA heavyweight champions, NWA, TNA, Global Force, and all that stuff. The question, because CW, since we've done this podcast for so many years, it's going to be like 10 years. I can't believe it. But anyway, neither here nor there. But you've always say, in your humble opinion, the big belts was AWA, NWA, or WCW.
Yep.
And WWE.
Yep.
Now, that's gone. The time has come. It's 2025. What are the big belts, in your humble opinion, now? Do you consider what's behind my shoulder?
I struggle
in the world.
No, and I struggle with. It can be. It might be about to be. But I would think it would take someone other than WWE buying it and doing the same stuff that they're doing now with WWE right now, but expanding on like what's happening. Now they're just they've obviously grown since they started working with WWE. But if the WWE buys it, it would never. I don't think it would ever be any bigger than NXT. So, and I don't think that's a world title. I actually believe that what Ethan Page said about it was absolutely spot on gold when he said, if you think about it, the NXT Heavyweight Championship represents Florida. He goes, I'm the North American champion. I represent all of North America, the U.S., the Canadian, and the Mexico parts of the North America. That's more than just Florida. TNA, Nashville. That's what I always associate with. Eventually, Florida. I think they're in Florida for a bit. I don't even know where they're based out of now. But at the end of the day, the two are the WWE, and I struggle because I almost.
Say it. I know you have to say it. Say it.
No. I think the one Cody has on SmackDown is the world title, and I don't think. I think it's bigger than the international title that you think was a world heavyweight championship, but it has international written right in, and it's not a world championship. The Raw title, I just maybe give it some more years, but right around the time it'll start getting a lineage, they're going to merge it. They're going to merge the two champions again, so that there's one again. And so I feel like Cody's is the world title. And AEW, I think Hangman Page is the other world champion. Those are your two world championships. Other than that, I don't think any other. Even if I know that AEW's probably defended the title on a New Japan show or whatever one they are affiliated with, but I'm also certain AEW has gone to Wembley. I hear it every day,
yes.
And they've gone to other parts of the world and defended the world title around the world, and not just in Florida. They come to Detroit, they go to California, they go to Canada, they go to Japan, they go to Mexico. They probably have gone to other countries. Did they do Australia, or are they trying to do Australia? Yeah, because what's her dick was Tony Storm wrestled in front of her hometown. Those are the two world titles. Ring of Honor's never been a world title. Again, NXT, to me, it's just the NXT champion. I know they call it NXT World Champion and Evolve World Champion. They are not world champions. They're not. And so right now, it's WWE Cody's belt, and What do they call the Raw one?
The World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, but they call the other one the undisputed WWE Heavyweight Championship, right? So on
No,
paper,
they stopped that. It's just WWE Championship.
I thought it was undisputed.
They stopped it.
Oh, they did stop that?
Mm-hmm.
So on paper, it would look like that title is not the one that's as big as the other one, this world title. But as long as Seth Rollins has it,
it's just nice. You just say AEW's one of the big
those
ones.
are the two world champions.
Okay.
That's it. It's
I
not
just
Triple Mania's champion. It's not New Japan's. And again, what I was starting to say is New Japan might have defended it on an AEW show. That's not the same as New Japan having a show on the other side of the world and defending it. I don't even know who their champion is.
Well, technically they did, but again, we're not talking about New Japan.
Once
they did before.
We are talking about them. You're asking me who the world titles are.
I'm just.
Let me ask you, what are the world titles now?
No, what you just said, AEW and WWE, they're the big ones. And New Japan, you could say, is a third, and AAA and CMLL are tied for fourth.
I think those are regional titles. They're not world titles.
Well, they do travel. They do travel. So, you know. And NWA tries to say they travel all over the world, but they have to get themselves booked. But neither here nor there. But let's get into this spotlight because
Did you just say NWA?
Well, Billy Corgan's NWA.
They run once every 6 months?
No, they were on once a month, but you know they got to book their champion to the other indie organizations, which they did the old school style. So it is what it is. I'm just being the most objective man in this IWC.
Well, how about this? I will give them an asterisk and say I hope they grow enough that they would, because at the time, Ric Flair was a world heavyweight champion. Harley Race, world heavyweight champion, and it wasn't a WWE style world championship. It was a touring championship. And they can grow to do that, then God bless them.
And as we are mentioning NWA, we have to give credence TW because the first 5 years of existence of TNA was the partnership between the National Wrestling Alliance and TNA Total Nonstop Action. So the very first champion on their weekly Wednesday show was actually Ken Shamrock, who won an all-night the first night. I think it was a tournament style, but I don't care who he beat. But TW, you got to start with the first, who broke the cherry and all that stuff. I know you've always talked about Ken Shamrock getting that, Road Warrior pop in the WWE in 1997 that I never heard of. But anyway, neither here nor there. But this man,
couponer, give him some footage of the Ken Shamrock pops.
See, well, he's calling you out, Josh. I didn't say shit, but Josh.
I'm not calling him. I'm tagging him in. I'm not calling him out.
But neither here nor there. Again, someone has to break the cherry for TNA and NWA and all that stuff. So he's
a perfect guy to do it. He has an MMA background. He has a intercontinental title reign. A lot of people think he should have been world champion in WWE. I'm one of them. He was a very good person at the time with your pick of the litter. He was a good one, and obviously the big one, the big fish, if you will, was Kurt Angle. But Ken Shamrock was a very, very good pillar to start with.
Okay, so with that being said, TW, again, with this 5 years, you could say from 2002 to 2007, one name was synonymous in those years. And that was the guy who had a lot of money invested in NWA TNA to a degree. He was the founder. I'm not saying, and Reflection Nights, we're not going to name every champion. We're just naming the most reputable, the most known, whatever the names we say probably is synonymous with the TNA belt, hopefully. But neither here nor there. But we have to talk about the man who dominated that belt from 2002 to 2007 to a degree, and that's JEFF, JARRETT, Jeff Jarrett. He had no choice because he had the most to lose. So we understand that old school carny thinking. If you're the promoter or if you're the guy that's putting the most money into the promotion, you trust yourself. So you got to be the champion. And during that time, he was already I believe 5 or 6 time TNA or NWA TNA heavyweight champion of the world. So, I remember back in the days when, the IWC had a name for Triple H's reign, and they called it the Reign of Terror. So do you agree that Double J, Jeff Jarrett had a reign of terror during 2002 to 2007, respectively, TW? Or
is that a compliment?
No, I'm just asking you a question. Does Jeff Jarrett not get enough credit, or just because he was the founder, the owner, and all that stuff, he just booked himself to be the champion? Do you give credence to it?
So it's a two-sided coin.
Okay.
I don't know that it was necessary in 2002, right?
Mhm.
However, you're a year and a half removed from WCW going under, so trust was probably at a premium, at that time. And we talked about this before with the Von Erichs, where a lot of the times they put the belts on Kerry, Kevin, or David, or Michael even, because they knew they would show up because they were family, right? So Jarrett's starting out. He's got to have a legitimate champion to get people interested in watching, right? But what I don't like what he did was, and I call it a reign of terrible, is how he won it and lost it a bunch, so that he was a 3, 4, 5-time champion. So for me, maybe this is an unpopular opinion. Also, it'll bring me to another thing about TNA. I think it's way more impressive that Hulk Hogan held the world title for 6 years in the 80s, and the wrestling boomed for all of it, right? 84, by 90, people were sick of him. But those 6 years that he held that title, in the same 6 years, obviously not all of them, but if you take a 6-year period, Ric Flair's winning it and losing it every year once or twice, I think that's far less impressive. So when I hear 14-time world heavyweight champion, that means you lost at 13 and probably 14 if you're not champion when you say it, right? I think what Roman Reigns did, I think what CM Punk did, I think what Gunther did, I think what Honky Tonk Man did, those long reigns are far more impressive, and partly in revisionist history, because it's a freaking hot potato now. People win the belt and lose. Jay Uso was champ for what, a month and a half, 2 months? It's probably more than that, and then he lose it back to the same guy.
53 days. 53
days, and it's like and if everybody's winning it, it's not as prestigious. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Conversely, I loathe when the same team wins the Stanley Cup 3 years in a row. No one's ever done it in recent years, but like when the Tampa Bay almost did it, I was cheering against them.
Can I retort back a little bit?
Yes.
Because I will say this for Jeff Jarrett, reign of terrible, reign of terror. Again, I will say this. He had the most to lose because he had the most money invested into the company, number one. But number two, even the people that he allowed to be lost to, like AJ Styles, like maybe Rhino and all that stuff, and Christian Cage. Well, I'm gonna harp on AJ Styles just for a second, because again, Christian Cage, maybe, but Rhino and all that stuff. But you get where I'm going with this. Jeff Jarrett was already a heavyweight champion in WCW. Those guys were. AJ wasn't. Christian wasn't. Rhino was an ECW champion, but again, because of the money issues, and I even said this last week, it was a necessity that they had to push him up a little bit quicker than he was ready for, and all that stuff. So Jeff Jarrett was a name value and all that stuff. So he had no choice. Again, and for weekly pay-per-views for $10 a week for 3 weeks in a row, you got to do something to get people to want to pay $10 a month. So again, maybe he felt that you needed a title change, one Wednesday, and then a month or a month and a half later on another Wednesday pay-per-view, he had to either regain it or lose it. So I'm just giving him the credence of the business side of it because he had no TV.
But there's other reasons why it's the reign of terrible.
Okay, go ahead.
And you named two of them.
What's that?
There's a meme for AEW for when a new guy comes there from WWE, where they show the mom reaching out for him to come in the pool while the other kid's drowning behind her, and then the other one's dead on the bottom of the thing. That is AEW for the first year and 2-3 years in, right? Okay. Ironically enough, Christian's one of them too, right? So Christian, Angle, and Rhino all have the same thing in common. They came in, won the world title, and then just went downhill from there. There was no build-up to make them champion. But, devil's advocate, you kind of had to do it, because if you bring them in and then they lose, then it makes it look like no one's ever going to beat Jeff Jarrett, right? But the problem is it also made it look like nobody in TNA can beat them unless it's an outsider from somewhere else, which is kind of what people feel about AEW now. Like, almost all of their former champions. You got Paige, a 2-time champion, Kenny Omega, and then that's it. Isn't every other champion a former WWE guy? MJF. Those 3 are your only homegrown talent world champions. The rest are all Jericho, Moxley,
Punk,
Daniel Bryan, who?
Punk,
CM Punk, yeah. All these guys. Did Swerve win it?
Mm-hmm.
Swerve. They're all guys that
Samoa
were
Joe.
WWE guys. Samoa Slow, yeah, he did it too. So when that's what, when I was paying attention to it, made me not want anything to do with it. I'm like, dude, if all they're gonna do is just take a WWE guy, shoot him to the moon, and then he loses, and then the next guy comes in, and I want to say, was it Christian? Christian, I think, was first, and he was a good guy, and then by the time he lost it, did he lose it to Samoa Joe by submission or something, or Sting?
Oh, you mean the TNA side, the NWA TNA side? He lost it to Sting.
Sting. So he loses it, and that was Sting's first one, right?
I lost count, but go ahead.
So Christian's the first one to come in, and while he's champion, they do that same thing to him with Sting, and he's a heel and taps out, and it's just like, well, we're done with you, buddy. Get out of here. Which is why it's good that he ended up coming back to WWE and eventually. So that's what I didn't like about it. I didn't like that he just kept losing it because I feel like he was trying to pad himself, like he thinks the more world titles he has.
You're saying he pads the stats, stat padding and all that stuff just to keep.
Yeah, because I know what you're saying, but why has it got to be him to win it back? And what I do like is, and this is what blew me away with those videos you sent me. For some reason, TNA started in 2002, right?
Mm-hmm.
And AJ, did he win it in 2003?
Give or take, yeah.
So it was only a year that AJ was X Division, and I remember that whole push of AJ was how no one ever gave him a break, and he's just an Impact or X Division guy, blah 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 blah. So when he won that world title, like he was like the 5th or 6th champion. I'm like, what the fuck? I thought he won it like 10 years after Impact started, right? And then he won it, but then it was just like, oh yeah, I guess he was, because he was gone by what, 2010, 12.
2013.
But eventually it got on the right track when Jarrett's not the champion anymore. And the thing I was going to say that I was going to tie together with multiple title reigns versus one big long, I was stunned to find out Hulk Hogan was never a TNA world champion. Even also, first I was stunned. I was like, wow, Kevin Nash was never world champion. And then I was like, wow, neither was Hogan. Like, that is stunning to me because they wrestled there. I know most of the time Hogan was an authority figure or whatever, but he still wrestled. And I thought it was cool that Bubba Ray put over Sabin because it wasn't a big deal maybe to a lot of people, and I think his reign was short too. But that was a big deal. That is probably Sabin went. First of all, he came back from a bum knee.
Wait, hold. He doesn't. You're naming everybody.
No. I'm talking about specifically this because Jarrett.
Because again, it comes back to Jarrett.
I'm tying it to AJ. I'm tying it to AJ. AJ won it from Jarrett. And it was a big deal. And it was the young guns getting a chance a year into the promotion. Whereas now you Scooby-Doo to 2012, it's 10 years old. Yes, Bobby Roode. I don't want to name them all, but some of these other homegrown guys won it. Sabin was a shock to the system, and he won it. He beat Bubba. After that period that we just reviewed, the Aces and Eights stuff, it was him. And I remember everyone around here being so happy for Sabin because literally he was out of the wrestling business. I think I talked to him once or twice in that time frame because his knee was so messed up. He thought it ended his career. And that's
both his knees. He had both knees.
And that's when he lost the chick that I ask her name every damn week. He was dating that girl before Bubba Ray stole her from him.
Velvet Sky.
Velvet Sky, yeah. They were together, and so he got hurt. It's a very Lita match edge situation. But yeah, so AJ winning it from Jarrett should have been the end of Jarrett, but Jarrett beat him back and took it back from him. So that's why I call it the Reign of Terrible. He lifts people up only to knock them down and bring them back. But as we talk about more and more, that is a theme in Impact. Guys, and I thought it was kind of cool from an inside, mindset. The whole doing the favors, right? there's a lot of guys that win the title from somebody and then lose it back to them. And I see a lot of guys in that compilation. By the way, you should share those compilations on our page just so people can see them, because they're both well worth watching. One of them has a little bit more of the beginning that the second one doesn't have. The second one has a lot more post, modern stuff after Shelley. But I see a lot of guys as they're pinning a guy saying thank you as they're hooking the leg, which is the proper thing to do, by the way. If you pay attention, I don't know if it's out the window now. I certainly don't do it in AEW, but people say thank you as they're getting the pin. Hogan and Rock.
It's very funny you say that, because again, before we name more champions, TW, well, you already named enough, but it's funny you say that, because in the 2002, you could say the 2000s, that generation of wrestlers, the AJ Styles, the Samoa Joes, Team Canada to a degree, Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin,
Most Wanted, America's Most Wanted.
Well, we can name a lot, but that generation of wrestlers, because of TNA, it wasn't one of the biggest promotions in America. It was trying to build itself as one of the biggest promotions
with unknowns,
but it was an independent. So the hook was the NWA name at first, but these guys were also wrestling in Ring of Honor. They were wrestling in Jersey All Pro Wrestling. They were taking those New Japan tours 2 weeks out of the
California
month.
ECW that you talked about, Pro Wrestling Gorilla or whatever.
Pro Wrestling Gorilla. So they were all over the neck of the country and all over the world. So they were building their rep, trying to make a living to a degree. But like you said, there was a camaraderie. So they fought each other in PWG. They fought each other in Ring of Honor. They fought each other in Jersey Pro Wrestling. Where what you're talking about, it's more of a thank you. It's more like, we've done this. We got it to a level where it was big enough. It was the main event. If you will, Reflectionites, that it was more worthy. I don't know. You get what I'm saying? I mean, WWE is WWE. We know it. If you can win the world title at WrestleMania, it's one of the biggest feelings in the world. But for the camaraderie of guys building up their rep, building up their legacies, hot dog and a handshake, like you always say, TW, to win that TNA title between each other. Like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles fought each other for the X Division title. They fought each other for the world title and all that stuff. So you could see the handshake camaraderie and all that stuff. You could see with Rhino winning the title. You could see with AJ. You can even see it with Sting, and he's an older guard, but he got revitalized in TNA to a certain degree because it was fun for him. It wasn't about the politics of WCW. It wasn't about backstabbing. He just thought that these young guys made him feel young again. These young guys, just needed a platform. And Jeff Jarrett thought he was helping with the Reign of Terrible. Ken Shamrock thought he was helping. Sting thought he was helping. So that's what I'm just trying to say. Do you agree with that?
I would say Ken Shamrock would be different than there's two things I'm going to say. There's two different types. You name some people that are one, and you name some people that are other. I'm going to tell you from again my feeling. If it were me, Ken Shamrock probably felt vindicated. Right? He never got to be world champion there, and these guys strapped a rocket to him. Right? It's an upstart company. I don't know that Shamrock cared that it was a new company. He just knew it was a company that was trying to go national, trying to do TV, do pay-per-views, and they're like, you're going to be our guy. So that has to fill you with pride. Now, Sting, Rhino, Christian. I don't know that they think to themselves it's a step backwards, but I know they know it's not a step forward, if that makes sense. But they probably took it serious and said, okay, give me the ball. Let's do it. Let's take this to the next level, right? Especially Sting and Angle. I don't know about Rhino because, again, Rhino was ECW World Champion, which is probably par with TNA in his mind, WWE was, I think, Intercontinental Champion or US. I think he had one singles belt. Maybe it was a hardcore. Yeah, it was a hardcore. But did he win tag titles too?
Maybe, yeah.
So anyway, and again, Rhino would probably and Christian would probably be happy to be a big fish because they were a mid-carder, if you will, or lower, depending on the show. Whereas AJ, Samoa Joe, James Storm, Bobby Roode, all these guys, A lot of guys in TNA started out as tag teams and ended up being the guy that like, we're going to go with you. That for certain, when we watch a lot of Impact shows, there's a reason a lot of them inevitably made it to WWE because they loved it. They loved the business, right? They didn't do it because they didn't make it in football. They didn't do it because, like you said, that hot dog and a handshake, you really, really got to love it if you're going to do it long enough to hopefully make it to WWE. If you don't get that flash in the pan, like a James, what's the guy with no chin? James Ellsworth. He's got a wrestling school. He's not smart. He's not stupid. He knows he's never going back to any of them. So now he has a wrestling school because he got his name. He got his 15 minutes of fame long enough to get a name to do a wrestling school. I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying him, like me, we don't have exactly the look.
He took advantage.
We don't have the look of the guy that's going to be the WrestleMania main event guy, right? So those guys, they loved it. And I'll tell you, man, you can tell all right, I'm sure we were going to talk about her inevitably in her 6-day title reign. That emotion on the face of Tessa Blanchard is 1,000% real. First of all, she's the first female to ever win a world title because they considered a world title, whether I do or not. To them, that was their world title. Those were real tears. Shawn Michaels holding that belt, looking down at it when he beat Bret. Those were real tears. I don't even know what Bret did when he beat Flair. He probably felt entitled. I love him. He's my guy. But Bret probably felt like he was owed the world title. But the guys that win it, and you know when it's fake emotion and you know it's real. Lex Luger, I think it was fake emotion when he won the world title from Hogan. I think it, and the first world title, the good one, the nice WCW.
It's funny you say vindication or real emotion. Because in this legacy, I think what you're saying happened twice. Happened to the same guy, a black man, Ron the Truth Killings.
Yep.
Again,
he was the second champ. Beat Ken Shamrock.
He was the second champ, but again, the parameters and how big that is for even the NWA legacy Reflectionites. But what TW just said, that shit was real. No matter where he was in this, again, where he was wrestling, because he was K-Quick, TW, in the WWE, and he was floundering with Jesse James, Road Dogg, Jesse James, and all that stuff. He came to TNA. He had a chip on his shoulder to a degree. That's the way his gimmick was. But like what you just said, now again, it's not the WWE title. I get that. I understand where TW, values the WWE title, but that shit was real to him. Winning that title from Ken Shamrock Reflectionites, he didn't cry, but he wanted to. He kept it. He kept his emotions in. But I bet you money, and TW will agree with this, when the curtain closes and he's in the locker room back there holding that NWA TNA belt, he had a tear in his eye. He's like, God damn.
Who was it that was it Bret? Or maybe Shawn? It couldn't have been Shawn. One of them, when they won the world title and they got to the back, everyone was gone. So he just went to his hotel room and just sat in his bed looking. I just watched this too. I can't remember who it was, but he's like, yeah, man, when you're the last match in the show, a lot of times you come through that curtain, everyone's gone, and there was no one to celebrate with.
I don't know about that one. The only one I remember, it was the Warrior winning at WrestleMania 6. He was alone with the belt, and someone had to look for him when he was supposed to take pictures, and he was crying.
Yeah, because there you go. So he's like Sting. They didn't get into it because they loved wrestling. They got into it because they wanted to make money. But I think both of them and Goldberg, they probably also wanted to be the best at it. You know what I mean? And that belt means right now you are. So if he didn't have emotion, that would be disappointing. You know what I mean? Like if you get it, you're gonna have emotion. If you don't get it, you're not. And I'm joking about Bret. I'm sure Bret was like, what the fuck? My dad never did this, but I did. Like Cody. Cody is 100% pure emotion. There is no doubt in my mind when that dude's crying, it's legit. Because he does it a lot. And I love it about him. I love it about him.
But you agree with Ron the Truth Killings, with the parameters, the politics, the history, the racism.
And I would say he would fall under the umbrella of Shamrock and Christian. Like
Vindication.
Someone believes in me. Somebody believes in me, and I'm going to show them. I'm going to show them that they're right for believing in me. I don't know that either one of them did it as far as moving a needle, but it was a tough. It's weird because maybe TNA came around too soon. Because, and I get the logic.
There was no. Everybody else went bankrupt. It wasn't too soon.
Too soon after WCW went under. Because
that was almost a year.
Right.
A year after.
But I'm saying you gotta give that year, you got people just counting the days for the NWO and Sting and Luger to show back up in WWF. So you got to give it more time to where people are like, dude, are these guys ever coming back? And then you start up and you bring those guys there, right? Because now it's the alternative because you're not getting. But I said maybe it was too soon, but it was a tough. The fact that they're still around is insane because they've almost got to. I would feel like if ECW had half the problems TNA had in different pockets of bankruptcy and still kept going. That's crazy. But somehow TNA has always survived. Billy Corgan was a sour grape thing. I think he got taken advantage of. Dixie Carter, was she legit owner or wasn't her husband or something that owned it?
No, it was a father. Panda Energy.
Father. Okay, yeah. And I think she legit wanted to do it. But they probably looked at it. Did they advertise Panda Energy on there?
No, they didn't. But they bought sponsorships and stuff like that. But again, it just shows you the little edge of that the cockroach of wrestling. You can't kill it and all that stuff. So, I just wanted to point out because of what you said about emotion and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Ron the Truth Killings, his 2 reigns, no matter what, a black man holding that belt and
in the South,
not only in the South, but that NWA legacy didn't have that.
Part of it.
He's part of it, and you can't take that away from him and all that stuff. So, with that being said, Reflection, I guess we could say for the history of TNA, NWA TNA, whatever you want to call it, TW, I guess the greatest TNA champion, NWA TNA champion, global, whatever you want to call it, we have to say it's the gold medalist, Kurt Angle. He is probably the
Was it
best.
still NWA when he had won it?
No, that was the transition when they were getting off of that partnership, and then it was just TNA solo. But technically, as people would say, maybe I'm just, it's my own opinion, but I think he is the greatest TNA heavyweight champion.
He was the one to finally lift them up, even though it almost ended poorly, just like WCW. He was the one. He was the name.
He legitimized the belt.
He legitimized it, and I don't like how they got him. Very dangerous. Jeff Hardy was another one. Very dangerous. When you hire a guy that was fired so he would go get help for his addictions, and then you hire him and make him world champion instead, you run the risk of having a Vice episode produced about you and what you did to the dude that died, right? So thank God it worked out. He's broken. He barely can move. If he hurts half as much as I do, doing nothing, then God bless him. Because I'm telling you, man, 49 and a half, you're going to hit the wall. You're going to be like, this is what Tommy was talking about. Shit just hurts all the time. But he absolutely legitimized him. He elevated him. What? They were on TV, right?
Yeah, they were on Spike when he was there.
Spike. Yeah. And then he elevated other guys. He lifted other guys up. And that's another one of my favorite things. Like, he lost to Ethan Carter III clean. Like a roll-up. And he reversed an angle slam. And that's what's beautiful about TNA is, I won't say their names because you think I'm talking about too many. There's guys that I would never in a million years think I would see tapped out.
I'm in a good mood. Go ahead. Say those names.
Bobby
please.
Lashley. Lashley tapped out. I think to AJ. He
tapped out to Kurt.
To Kurt. And Drew Galloway tapped out to Bobby Lashley. And Bobby Lashley put over Eddie Edwards before he got fat roly-poly. It was the small version of Eddie Edwards. just guys putting guys over. That's when you know it's a team, man. And I'm watching the clip of him beating him with a flying leg clothesline that they called the Boston knee party. I don't know why it's that when he's fucking hitting him with the back of the leg, not the fucking knee. Anyway, he pinned him 1, 2, 3 after that, and I thought, and then he got it back and he smoked him in the rematch. But that's when you know it's a team. And I think in the beginning, AEW was a team. I don't think they are anymore. And then you can blame Punk all you want, but the fact that it's still that way, obviously Punk was just another guy caught in it. But where the hell's Luke Perry's kid? Is he just done? What's going on with him?
Don't change the subject. I think Kurt Angle. Now you're talking about Eddie Edwards. See,
but I'm just saying, Kurt Angle went there not only to legitimize him and make him world champion, but he put other guys over, and he lost clean to guys who had no business beating Kurt Angle clean. Even though it was a roll up and a reversal of the Angle slam, and I'm sure there was probably an angle where he was taking him lightly. It just and you've seen a lot. You know what we talk about untapped potential all the time.
Wait, let me just say this. Hold your thought for Kurt Angle, and I'll just say this. My last 10 seconds. Some of his best matches were in TNA.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not a lot of people saw it.
And people think, wow, imagine how many better matches he would have had if he stayed in WWE, but he wouldn't have, because he would have been dead. Like, they let him go so he could get help. And the one thing I will say in TNA's defense, they were wrestling once a month, recording TV for 4 weeks. They weren't wrestling, so he had plenty of time to get help and just show up for the tapings once or twice a week, twice a month, or whatever they did, every 2 weeks or whatever. So it wasn't like he was still in the grind of the WWE life. And obviously he must have got some help because he's still with us. But I told you, I sat with that dude and he had a beer in both hands and drank each one in 2 sips. And I thought, whoa. And that was drinking. That was not his problem. His problem was pain pills and getting that surgery that Austin and Edge and Lita and all them had. He got it and was back wrestling in 3 weeks at WrestleMania. These other guys were out for 13 months. And I'm pretty sure he ended up having another surgery, but that surgery is now the norm now. People get that surgery. They're not out for 13 months anymore.
They drain fluid from the neck area. And then
no. What it is the original surgery.
It's not 3 weeks. It's 3 months, actually.
Kurt Angle's back in 3 weeks. I'm saying he was a guinea pig.
It was after Mania. Then he took that, and it was out for 3 months.
Okay. Well, regardless. But he did whatever he could to make WrestleMania. I remember that. And then I thought it was a surgery. So anyways, what they did differently was they used to, like, if you look at Edge, I don't know if he still has short hair, the scar is the back of your neck from your head to your middle of your shoulders, because they opened it up there so they could plate the spine from the back. Kurt Angle got opened from the front, and they moved his throat out of the way and plated it from the inside. It was less invasive and didn't take as long to heal. And he did it, but when he came back, he had numbness in one of his thumbs or whatever. But now they've perfected it, and now that's the normal surgery now. Shawn Michaels just went in and had one. I don't know where. He probably had it on the lower back, so it's probably not. They didn't go through your stomach. They probably went through the back again. But just the idea of letting someone cut your throat, to move your throat out of the way to put the plate on your spine, or whatever they had to move out of the way to plate the inside of the spine, that's a dedication to the business right there.
Dedication to the business, or I don't know. Again, sometimes you think about the money more than your life, than the golden years.
You don't think about the future.
You don't think about
the here and now. But since we've talked about Sting, and since we've talked about Angle, I don't even know who the third guy was. Was it Jeff Hardy or was it Ken Anderson? I don't know. What I believe, because the first video you sent me just showed this guy won, this guy won, this guy won. The second one showed the reigns, and it showed why this guy didn't beat that guy for the title because vacancies or whatever. There is no doubt in my mind, from the 30 seconds of it that I saw, the referee should have been fired on the spot, because Sting had somebody pinned Christian. It was Christian. Sting had Christian pinned while Angle had him in the ankle lock, and Sting tapped out, so the Angle was the champion, but the referee already counted 3 on Christian. And so they stripped
there was
Angle.
there was two referees, so they built for a pay-per-view and stuff like that. That's all.
It wasn't the same ref?
No, it was two refs.
Because the one ref counted 3 and then acted like he was knocked out.
There was two angles. One ref was watching for the tap, and one was counting
but
the
they
shoulders.
didn't time it. They didn't time it good enough because Christian clearly got pinned for 3 before Sting. So that's Sting's fault. If he was supposed to do it, Sting's fault.
But since you mentioned Sting, we'll just again, people call him the icon, the conscience of wrestling and stuff like that. He's been a multiple-time TNA champion. You know, he's never had the elusive brass ring like what TW would say with the WWE belt, but he's had the WCW belt. He's had the TNA belt. So, again, we're not talking about what ifs. We already did the what if. We did the what if. But what say you about Sting? Because again, he's a legend. He is a name. He has a legacy, and he legitimized both the NWA TNA belt and the Impact belt. So what say you about Sting?
You just broke my heart by reminding me he was never WWF World Champion, you bastard.
I just keep it real.
He won one of them real world titles on my birthday, though. His very first one, July 7, 1990.
We're not talking about that belt. We're not talking about that belt. We're talking about.
I'm saying Sting. I seen a Sting in TNA that I wish I saw in WWE. Like, by the time he finally got there, his pride, all the losers who gave him poor advice about how they're going to treat you like shit because you're a WCW guy. Well, okay. Well, why don't you just watch and see what they did with Booker T? Booker T arguably had a better WWE career than a WCW career because by the time they elevated
it took a couple of years for Booker T to get what you're talking about. It wasn't that easy.
He feuded with Austin.
It wasn't that. And again, call it an ego. Call it whatever you want.
I called it fear.
Fear. He had pride. He had pride.
But I'm saying fear, and he didn't want to sully the WCW brand any more than it already was. And I understand that. But I think if he would have paid a little bit of attention, he would have known that they would have done better with him. They would have. This is Sting. They wanted him when he was in that NWA. He almost went to WWF, but Flair or someone talked him into not going. So it's not like they never wanted him. You know what I mean? The guys they didn't want, God bless you, Buff Bagwell, but they didn't keep you long.
But Dixie loves Sting so much, and she credits Sting for the Spike deals and all that stuff. So he was a legitimate reason.
He made it possible for Kurt Angle to come in and legitimize him, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I mean by too soon after WCW going out of business, by having Sting there and Luger there and Jarrett there, and there were other WCW guys that were there. Was Kidman there? No, Kidman was WWE. There were a couple young guys that were there that were. Elix Skipper was WCW before they went under, right? And then he went to TNA. Yeah. So you had a lot of guys there, but the beauty of TNA, I mean, I know we're doing world title, but really we're talking about TNA. Like they gave guys chances that no one else is going to get. WCW, if it was still around, AJ Styles is probably never world champion. Obviously WWE. What those guys did in TNA and inevitably at New Japan and all that is what made it possible for all of them. I mean, Bobby Roode was never. He won tag team titles in SmackDown and Raw rosters, but those guys getting pushed on NXT like they did, getting pushed in SmackDown and Raw when they finally made AJ coming. AJ was the first guy to bypass NXT. Of all those dudes, they just put him right to the Royal Rumble and right to WrestleMania. It just fast-tracked him because of that belt behind you.
Yeah, it was.
Joe Hendry's going to get it the same way.
Who knows? But he's been on NXT too. So
well, yeah.
I don't want to hog this up with naming names. You already named like 10 TNA champions, but you want to focus on a champion that surprised you, or let's say like with the video that I showed you.
Alex Shelley.
Go ahead. The floor is yours. Talk about him.
And he beat Moose to win it, right?
Yeah.
And it made me like Moose more. I met Moose in person when he was training to be a wrestler. Also, D'Angelo Williams was training to be a wrestler, in case you didn't know that. I know he did some stuff on Impact, but D'Amore was training him. He wanted to be a wrestler, and he found out the hard way that it's a lot harder than it looks on TV. But Moose losing to Shelley clean and then beating him pretty handily when he rematched. But I'm glad to see Shelley won it, and to see that it was
I'm sorry. Alex Shelley didn't beat Moose. It was Steve Macklin.
Right, and then he lost to Moose. But Moose lost to the other guy, the other Canadian. Well, Shelley's not Canadian, but the guy that's Josh Alexander. Moose lost to him and then beat him for it back or whatever. And but just I love seeing guys. Here's a fun one for you. He's probably his popularity is waning, but he's definitely one of my favorite guys on TV now. When I'm watching the highlights and I see that Eli Drake one, I'm like, who the fuck is Eli Drake? And then when they showed him, I'm like, oh, that's LA Knight. I'm like, I didn't know. And then he lost to Aries, like Job Squad style in his street clothes. But I think I saw Eli Drake on MLW more than I saw him on TNA, because for some reason I was able to watch MLW. I don't know if you sent me links or something, but I watched I watched
you got to start somewhere. You got to pay your dues. So it's funny you're mentioning the little, I'm not going to say the little names, but the Austin Aries, the Alex Shelleys, the Chris Sabins, the Eric Youngs, and Track knows about this. I hate Eric Young. I don't know why, but it is what it is. But they don't. And this is not a knock on them. And TW, I'm not trying to disrespect the wrestler, because, again, the craft is the craft. I respect them for what they do. But I'm being the fan here. And I remember this, especially with Eric Young and Chris Sabin. But
Sami Callihan.
I don't know about Sami. Well, maybe Sami Callihan. But, again, these champions, when we name these TNA champions, no disrespect, Reflection, but I'm the objective one. They don't sell tickets. No. They don't move merch. They don't.
They're making the fans that already were there happy, but they're not adding new ones.
But that's not good business.
No. Well, no. Well, tell AEW that, because that's what they're doing.
I'm just saying.
They ain't adding shit the way they keep doing what they're doing.
I understand being, for the hardcore fans and somebody, wrestling there for like 10 years like Eric Young did and shit like that. And Alex Shelley and Chris Sabin were the TNA X Division originals. I get what gimmick wise and booking wise, I understand that, TW. But reality wise, they don't move the needle. They don't sell merch.
I think I remember having a conversation either with D'Amore or with Jeff, who had it with D'Amore, and then me. I think when they picked Sabin to win the title, they were trying to shock the world. They thought if someone heard Chris Sabin won the world title, that people would start watching and go, wow. But I think they counted on more people knowing who Chris Sabin was, if that makes any sense, right? Like, the people who watch wrestling might watch it if they stopped watching it. Now they are watching it. But I didn't even know Shelley won it. And Shelley would have been D'Amore's last champion. Then, well, how long did he have before?
I don't remember the reign, but go ahead.
He won it in December of 23, and D'Amore was ousted in February of 24. So I don't know if he held it that long or if Moose won it before D'Amore got let go. But Shelley's a D'Amore guy. Moose is a D'Amore guy. Sabin's a D'Amore guy. Obviously, Team Canada, all D'Amore guys. Johnny Bravo, good friend of mine, D'Amore guy. So you have a lot of these guys. It's almost like, I wouldn't even say a carrot. It's a gold star. It's thanking them for being loyal. We started out talking about Jarrett keeping the belt on himself out of loyalty, worrying about people not showing up. And again, who knows how much money he had to pay. So maybe he's the champion all that time, because maybe back then these guys were on a per date basis. So he pays you to win the title and he pays you to lose it. And now he's the champ still, but that way he doesn't have to pay you more if you're a year-long title reign. You're like, I want more money, because Jarrett's no stranger to holding people up for money. It would be karma. But by the time Shelley and Sabin and all those guys are winning the world title, there's contracts. So guys aren't going anywhere. They're there.
Well, they are. But you understand my fandom standpoint.
No, dude, it didn't make me watch it. There's people I know and I didn't watch it. So
that's a pop. That's a pop, right? These are my guys. I know them, and I don't even watch it. That's just, right. That is fucked up and funny at the same time. So let me just say this. Let's change the subject for a second, because again, within the TNA history, again, we talk about management, but some of the decision making of the management Reflectionites. And I want to parlay this because we can combine it right now because it's happening right now today. But TNA's legacy has waned down, TW. So they, in certain ways, to get interest, to move the needle a little bit, those promotional partnerships, if you will, TW, first with AEW and Kenny Omega won the belts, and now we have TNA and Trick Williams is the current TNA champion. Now, from a fan standpoint, and I'm just going to say this, Reflectionites, I don't mind partnerships, TW. You know me. I don't mind partnerships, but I've always said, keep it sacred. Do not have somebody from the opposing organization winning your world heavyweight title. I don't care about the tag team titles. I don't care about the secondary titles. You can do whatever the fuck you want with that, but keep your heavyweight title safe. And to me, Kenny Omega being the TNA champion, maybe it hurts it threads the needle, if you will, and moves the needle. Trick and A moves the needle, but yet does it give TNA anything? It just, for the fandom, it just makes your roster look weak. It makes your belt look weak, in my humble opinion. Prove me wrong, TW.
I disagree, and I'm going to tell you why.
Go ahead.
I think that
but you understand, right? I
think they learned something from the partnership with AEW. They got nothing out of it. They got nothing out of it. Christian winning the title from Kenny Omega didn't matter because Christian also was an AEW guy, but they acted like because he had TNA history. And then by the time Josh Alexander beats Christian for it, I think it was Josh Alexander.
It was.
It's on a fucking nothing show in the middle of nowhere, TNA. So he didn't even get to beat Kenny Omega for it, right? And Christian won it on Dynamite. I think this time around, if it were me, this most recent one, I don't know why they're protecting JC Jane. JC Jane should have been the one to get pinned by Ash by Elegance, even if it was she almost beat Slamagora or whatever the hell her name is. Even if she almost beat her and then Ash rolled her up and pinned her, she should have been the one to lose. Unless the long-term storytelling is JC's going to complain that she didn't get pinned because they've already showed that on NXT. So maybe now Ash wrestles Lacey one-on-one and then beats her. And then it's good because you made it look like we're protecting NXT people, right? And then next you know she loses. But Trick has to lose it to Santana. If not Santana, somebody. It can't be Elias because it'll just look like a WWE guy again. But I think what they're doing now, and again, this isn't good for TNA long term, but it's good for them right now because what they're doing is making Santana a WWE superstar, and he's gonna get to bypass NXT when he signs because he's already done his time in NXT. If that makes sense. That's what I meant about Hendry. Hendry's super over. Santana's super over. Santana got to be the one to come out, and he helped Javon Evans beat Trick, right? So you have all this stuff, and that belt, there's only one thing on NXT more than the TNA World Title or TNA wrestlers, and it's fucking women wrestlers. It's like the whole show is girl matches, and then by the way, we also have Obafemi and
because they draw more than the dudes.
It's just there's a lot of them, man. At this point,
they're stacked, they're balanced, they got story. I'm just giving you
they got a solid girl roster. There's no doubt about it. But I think Trick has to lose it on a TNA show, and a TV show would be even better than a pay-per-view because the casual fan who's only learning about TNA right now because these guys keep showing up on NXT, they might be like, I'm going to watch TNA tonight. And then Trick loses to Santana on TV. Now you've probably made a fan who's going to watch the pay-per-view now instead of
you don't want Santana to win the belt on Bound for Glory?
That's fine too. That's fine too. I thought that happened already. So but what I'm saying is I think it's putting more eyes on TNA's product because they're constantly crossing over, right? Santina coming over and wrestling Ethan Page, and then
But you just said it doesn't help it long term. And like I said, as
no,
fan,
it's not helping him long term to build Santana up because he's going to end up in WWE. Oh, by the way, you asked me people that shot. I didn't know Penta was an NWA or TNA champion. Didn't know that. And it was with Austin Aries. So there was a lot of people I didn't know were champion. And again, I was shocked by a few that weren't. Like I said, Kevin Nash and Scott Hall. I just assumed Kevin and Hogan did, and just Nash or Hall didn't win another world.
Kevin was a Legends champion. That's it.
Oh yeah, I remember that. That was about Booker T had. That's another thing. Booker T never had it, and I thought Booker T was the heavyweight champion.
Legends champion.
Yep. Yep. That's why I'm probably confused. But yeah, wow, Booker T never was champion there. That's crazy.
No, maybe they just respected they wanted the young guys and the up and comers to have a shot at the belt and not be.
And that Legends belt was probably to appease fans to explain why they're not wrestling for the other belt. You know, I'll tell you what, all of it did show me and make me have not a second of second guessing it. All of it showed me that Ken Anderson is garbage. I saw that every clip of him was terrible. So he's not good, dude. He's not good. And I just,
you didn't like the Mr. Anderson entrance. You didn't like him being the asshole.
I didn't like him as the Kennedy. The asshole is the worst of all. I'm an asshole. He was trying to be Austin. For all the shit they give LA Knight, Kennedy tried to be Austin. Straight up just tried to be Austin. Instead of the stunner, he did the face forward stupid ass move. But he's just garbage, man. He's not good. And I don't know that as a person. I'm just saying, although I think part of the reason I don't like him is this dude got fired for being careless and hurting people. And he's mad at the people he hurt for complaining that he hurt them. And I got news for you, Mr. Kennedy. When you're hurting Randy Orton and John Cena, you're not going to be around long, dude. You're just not.
I get it. You just have you just have a different feeling about Ken Anderson. Again, I can't reverse it. Reflection. He feels the way he feels, just like the way I felt with Eric Young being
And I think from the time he got there to the time he was all done, he let himself go a little bit more. Not as bad as Sami Callihan, but he let him, like, this dude stopped tanning, looked like he stopped working out, and he just relied on promos that were Austin light every single time. It was terrible.
Now the funny thing is I can lay out some names here because, again, the funny thing about the TNA champions, and you actually named Penta, which is, I didn't say I forgot, but it's just one of those names that's kind of intriguing. Like Johnny Impact, Brian Cage, Sami Callihan, Rich Swann. I'm naming those names, Reflectionize, for a reason.
Rich Swann, hold on, real quick. I know you guys said Rich Swann's another one that you feel good for because he lost his job at WWE, ended up, I think, getting cleared of whatever the hell he was accused of. And then someone took a chance on him fairly quick. I think he was even signed before that stuff was dropped. And then won the world title. And it was a feel-good moment for him. And then everyone said the same thing. Ruined the second Kenny Omega beat him. Just absolutely threw him in the wood chipper, dude. It was just like all the momentum he had killed.
No, because what I'm saying is those names.
Yep.
And I don't want to use the WWE, but you could actually use AEW because they haven't become champions there too. But when you win a world title in one organization, sometimes you could say Reflectionites is that man's that's a made man. He's a main eventer. He could go to any other organization and do that. We haven't seen that with the names I just said. Is this surprising to you, or is it the booking? What say you, TW? Penta's new. I understand Penta in WWE is new.
Penta, he's probably stalled now, but dude, they were pushing that guy to the moon. My only problem with Penta in WWE is how dare you team up Phoenix with Andrade instead of just throwing Penta over there and putting the Lucha Brothers back together. I hated that. So, but at the end of the day,
but you understand. But
Johnny Nitro is the Marty Jannetty of Eminem, or whatever the hell they were called.
Miz and Morrison?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was Miz and Morrison and Mercury. But I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Miz and what were they called?
You just said it, Eminem.
No, Eminem was Mercury, and it was Mercury, Nitro, and Melina. Yeah. That wasn't the Miz. Miz and Morrison were just Miz and Morrison, I think.
Yeah, that was just that.
He's the Marty. And I like Johnny Nitro, Johnny Impact, Johnny Dynamite. I like him. He's I hate to say it, he's comic relief, man. No matter how good he is, it's acrobatics. It's not, he's terrible on the microphone. Like, he sounds so unsure of himself 1 minute and super overconfident the next. And
but TW, I'm just saying, with those names, does it devalue the TNA world title if these guys cannot be quote unquote, let's say mid carders to main eventers, because they haven't gotten to that apex like they did with TNA, or is it just the platform you just need to get over?
I would say, I'm gonna choke to death on chocolate.
I know you are.
I would say it doesn't devalue that belt.
Drink it up.
Because if you say that devalues TNA's belt, I just think it's a case-by-case basis, right? They're forgettable TNA champions, but the TNA Championship is not forgettable. Does that make sense?
That makes
because
sense.
Trick and Hendry and Moose and Josh Alexander, they brought prestige to that title, right? I just think all those, like, I'll give you an example of someone currently who is no different than those guys. Obviously, it's a bigger deal because he won the world title in WWE, but Jimmy Uso, the fucking guy doesn't move anything. He's a footnote. He's the guy that made Gunther a 2-time champion, first by beating him for the first one and then losing it back to him, right? So he's I don't think it's going to do anything. I mean, obviously it's going to make him be able to sign autographs for the rest of his life at conventions and charge $100, but what I was going to compare it to is, if you're going to say those guys going up and not doing anything spectacular in those other promotions, some of them, by the way, are on their way down. Johnny Nitro did it after he was a WWE star, and he did go back for a cup of coffee and a fucking Royal Rumble elimination. But you would have to say the same thing about the NXT title, because there's tons of NXT champions who dominated, who never went on to do shit on the main roster or AEW. Adam Cole, I love him. He ain't done shit in AEW. That Owen Hart title is not a real title. Whatever that other bullshit title he just won and handed over because he got hurt. What is that? They change the name of it every 3 months. The Mid-Atlantic.
No, that's the TNT title. I know what you're talking about.
Oh, he was TNT champion. I thought he won that other bullshit title. But Adam Cole ain't done nothing. But his run as NXT champion was awesome. His whole time in NXT was awesome. And unfortunately for me,
it's the platform.
Too late to reunite those guys. Right.
No, it's the platform and the opportunity you get on that certain platform.
I guess some of those guys, it's unfair to say this because they had to do it in an empty arena. But at the end of the day, you're booking for the people that pay the ticket to see that show or watch it on pay-per-view and pay for it that way. As long as the crowd enjoyed all those guys winning the title, and every clip I saw that had an audience, every title change, people pop for. You know what probably had the biggest pop?
What?
Was Christian beating Kenny Omega on Dynamite. That crowd went.
Well, technically, it wasn't Dynamite. It was Rampage, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was the first ever Rampage too, right?
Yeah.
Yep. So that was good.
So with that being said, Reflection Eyes, I'll close it out because again, we can name a lot of champions. Raven was an NWA TNA champion too. Alberto.
Hold on, I got a bone to pick about that. Raven, Kurt Angle, I think Bubba Ray.
Okay.
All these guys are winning these ladder matches, and these fucktards can't get the belt off the hook and just hold it and stand there with it and go, I'm champion, and it's still hooked.
No, that's the King of the Mountain match. You win it by putting the belt on the hook.
No, that was Kurt Angle did one of them, but that's not what Nick Aldis did. Nick Aldis threw fucking Jeff Hardy off the ladder, climbed, and just held the belt. It was already hanging, and it was on the stage. It wasn't even on the damn ring.
Again,
these guys are trying to unhook it. Raven took the longest. He's trying to unhook it and just goes, fuck it, and just holds it and goes, yay. And they're like, he's the champion. I'm like, he didn't even get it off the thing. Struggle buses. And he looks
It is.
80. Have you seen him lately?
Who?
Fucking Raven.
Well,
He
drugs
looks
and
like
partying.
Colonel Sanders, dude.
Well, again, he lives hard. That's what he did.
did.
So it is what it
He's
is.
the person that said, if you need drugs, find Martin Luther King Drive in any major city in the United States, and you'll find them.
He said that. I didn't say shit. But anyway,
he said that.
I know. That's what I'm saying. He said that. I'm just saying. But I'm just naming some names. But again, Raven, Matt Hardy, Alberto El Patron, Alberto Del Rio. Again, we can talk about what he went through, because again, people getting some second chances. TNA is the land of second chances, if you will. Reflectionites. We can talk about Eddie Edwards, and again, TW with these names. I think it's again the management, because again, from one aspect of management, they were on weekly pay-per-view TV, right? The let's say the peak years of TNA wrestling is Spike Television, because that's where they got the million weekly. That's where people said, okay, they're there. When they went to like Destination America and Pop TV, and now they're on Access TV, this is when they're trying to get their rep. They're trying to get that legacy back. So TW, in closing, what say you about? I guess we opened it like that, but I just wanted to give you the logistics. Like the peak years is Spike TV. The peak years is Dixie Carter's Spike years, because again, Spike invested into TNA wrestling. Destination America didn't invest. They just said, fuck it.
And it was tiny.
It was tiny. And Pop TV was tinier. Access TV, well, they don't. That's almost like being cheap, because they own their own network.
Anthem.
That's Anthem.
Yeah.
So, what say you?
I do feel like after Spike TV, I just always assumed it was they just couldn't afford anything more, and they were just giving it what they could. But when I hear how much Anthem's worth, that's who owns it still, right?
Yeah.
When I hear how much it's worth, and they're not, well, then again, they can't even get Access TV on everything. I've had quite a few cable providers that did not have Access TV, because there's an awesome show on there.
I don't have it either. So
Sammy Hagar goes around like Guy Fieri goes around looking at restaurants. Sammy Hagar goes around with other musicians and interviews them. I think it's called Sammy Hagar's Rock Show or something like that. But I think, yes, Spike TV was the golden years, the salad days, as they say. But I think the best is yet to come. I honestly think they're setting themselves up. And when I said it's not good for TNA long term with Santana being built up, because he's going to WWE after this, it's obvious. Jordan Grace is just the first of many. They're going to do it. But the good thing is, when one man enters, another man leaves. So there's going to be plenty of people that can go from WWE right to TNA who will also had, you know what I mean? Like as they're on the come down, someone's on the come up. But I think they're setting themselves up for what's most important is Santana and Joe Hendry and even Elias and Santino. The more they're on NXT and they do stuff that makes you, because I think Lexus King did some Impact stuff. They loaned Santino's daughter.
Fatal Influence has been on TNA.
Yeah, Fatal Influence, but they loaned Santino's daughter there for like 6 months. And then I can't remember that Dark State has gone there. The more they do that on NXT and they show clips of NXT people on Impact, the more NXT people are going to keep going over and watching it. So at the very least, hopefully. Yeah, right. At the very least, you're going to get the eyeballs on the product. And then what's important isn't Trick versus Joe, Trick versus Santana. It's the undercard. It's all the dude that AJ Styles came and put over in the middle of the ring. I don't know his name.
Leon Slater.
Yeah, that guy. All the younger guys are going to be the ones that, you know what I think is going to happen if they keep this partnership up. I know it was a 2-year deal. They're definitely going to renew it if things keep going the way they go. I think they're going to send Evolve guys to TNA before putting them on NXT, just to beef them up, get their teeth cut, if you will. Because some of them dudes look like they're 12 years old. They got to age a little bit before they put those guys on T. Because like those guys that was it little guy, what's his name? Ricky Starks. He had to beat all three of those guys that are all three at the championships in Evolve, and he beats all three of them so he could get the shot at Ethan Page.
It's better to start with the TNA level platform
and build yourself up
build
and
yourself.
then come over to NXT full time. Right now, they're just doing crossovers, which is fine. But I'll tell you real quick about Starks or Saints. I didn't think he was shit. I always thought he looked tiny, period. Always. But especially AEW, which is hard to do when everyone's
it's gotta be the platform and NXT that
maybe
just
their ring is something. No. It just happened to me last night. Last night, I became a Ricky Starks believer because I didn't realize how tall he was until he stood face to face with Obafemi. And I was like, whoa. I was like, what the fuck? I thought he was gonna come up to his nipples. And he came. They were just this far off. It was like.
And that means Oba's small. Then he's a small dude.
I'm sure once Oba gets on, it's. Did I ever tell you the story about Pac Neville? One of my first times watching NXT ever. They did a highlight clip of Neville doing fucking that, whatever the fuck that move's called, where it looks like a moonsault, but they do all the rocket something, whatever his finisher was. And I'm watching him. They just show him, and he's jacked, and then they show him do all that shit. I'm like, what the fuck, man? Is that Mike Austin Jr.? What the fuck? And then finally he comes to the ring, and his head is this. It's up to the top rope like this. And I'm like, oh, that's why he's not on Raw. Because I'm like, how's this guy not on Raw and SmackDown? He's a monster that wrestles like that? Shooting Arrow or whatever it's called. And then I saw how tall he was. Ricky Starks is taller than that, but I thought he was that size. But Pac is also jacked, so
yeah, he's stacked and jacked like that. So,
but I think Ricky Starks versus Oba is going to elevate Ricky Starks for sure. And every time he talks shit in the back and all this, because I thought Javion's just Javion. What the fuck?
We're not talking. Wait. We ain't talking NXT.
No. We're talking the future. We're talking the future, and we're talking about TNA is going to have a big future. I wouldn't be surprised if Oba goes there and steamrolls through some people after he's done as champ here before going up. But anyways, the point is TNA made it possible for TNA made guys that were worth WWE taking a chance on that then became star. AJ Styles would never be a 2-time Grand Slam champion if he didn't have TNA to elevate him. Do you know I have they have it as a WCW figure of AJ Styles because he was there like the last week of Nitro, but it's actually a TNA version of AJ Styles action figure. But in the package, there's a Nitro shirt so that they didn't get sued for making an Impact figure. But that's how much they like AJ Styles that they made a Legends figure of him, the way he looked in Impact when he had the short hair, the short tights, and all that. Impact. Whether people realize it or not, because they did have some terrible, terrible years, they have done so much for so many without people realizing it. And they're doing it now. Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry's a guy from fucking Scotland. And TNA is finally the one that brought him in to do shit. Jeff, my buddy Libido, he begged him more. Dude, you got to bring this guy in because he had darker hair at the time. Jeff would watch that dude's videos all the time. Everybody he wrestled, he wrote a song about them on the way to the ring. And Jeff thought he was the greatest thing ever. I don't know if that's why D'Amore inevitably brought him over, but I was at a show in Windsor where Joe Hendry was on, and Jeff's like, this is the guy. And I'm like, he's good. And now he's just, dude, he's going to be a fucking superstar. And TNA made it. Huh?
Hopefully. Because again, sometimes it doesn't transition.
Dude, did you see WrestleMania with Orton? Orton made him.
No. Again, the flash in the pan moments is one thing. Yeah. Sustainability is another thing. But again, I'm not trying to like.
You know who's fucking over? Chelsea Green, also TNA.
There you go. But with that being said, TW, let's just close it out here. Give you a little bit of a pop quiz, if you will, with all the stuff you saw. I'll say this. Greatest TNA champion is Kurt Angle, hands down for me. Worst TNA champion, hands down, is Eric Young for me. Go ahead, your 30 seconds. Greatest and worst.
You're not going to like this, man. It's Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy tarnished that title.
Oh, is it worst? Oh, I thought he was your greatest.
Jeff Hardy, let me rephrase it. that version of Jeff Hardy. He tarnished it. Sting, it broke my heart to see Sting in that situation. He's just like, what's going on here? Like, and to hear him in interviews, to know that most of it was mad at them for letting him even come to the ring and concern for Jeff Hardy. It's just it's a black eye on the title. It's a black eye on the promotion. But I was starting to say it earlier. I love that they gave him a chance to redeem himself, and he did. So he would get. You didn't even ask me this. That reign is the worst reign.
Okay.
But that story of him redeeming himself is a gold star moment.
So he had the best and worst reign in your humble opinion.
I don't know if about the best reign, but the whole build-up was. I'm glad that he didn't let him down. Like it straightened him out. He obviously had a relapse or two since then, but he's so far so good. The worst for me is Sami Callihan. It's just, I don't know if he had it even that long, and I know did he lose it to Tessa?
Yeah.
And it was in an empty arena, right? Because that's how she ended up getting fired.
No, it was before COVID. It was in a cage.
And then COVID happened, and she wouldn't come to Canada. I remember because they were filming all this stuff in Canada, and she wouldn't do it. But that he's just another guy that.
He was an NXT guy. He was an NXT guy.
Asked to get let go from WWE, and then you go there. He was in a situation that should have humbled him, but it made him worse, if that makes any sense. And I don't know him personally. Maybe he's better now.
Maybe he was more motivated to, like you said. Sometimes you got to prove people wrong.
Because he was one of those guys that then immediately talk shit about NXT and WWE. So it's like, look, man, everyone else is in the same boat you're in, and they stayed afloat. You sank, and the way, and again, I don't know what's going on in his personal life, but when you see some guy, obviously he was never Billy Gunn to begin with, but he wasn't what he is now. And whenever you see someone's body deteriorate that much, it's usually a sign of something other than physical. It's a mental thing going on in their life. So I hope the best for the guy, but I just think, for me not knowing Shelley won it, for me not knowing Penta won it, for me not knowing LA Knight won it, him winning it is very forgettable and very anti-moving the needle. Move the needle the other way. I would think it was not a successful title reign, if you will. And a close second for me is Austin Aries. Austin Aries is another guy who thought he's better than he is and thought he deserved more than he got and all that. God bless you. There's a final.
No, you're right. He is his own worst enemy.
And they were gonna push him to the moon in NXT, and he just fucked it all, threw it all away. But wasn't it him? I can't remember who it was. He was refusing to lose to. And then he walked out. It was kind of a big deal for TNA.
Johnny Impact beat Aries, and Aries just got up and left
and walked out of there. But that was a big show, wasn't it?
It was either Bound for Glory or Slammiversary, where he no-sold his finishing move.
And that's their WrestleMania, right?
Yeah.
And he just got up and then walked out of there. It was ugly. And so when I say worst champion, I mean for two different reasons. One, the unprofessionalism. That's Jeff Hardy and Aries, and the other is the Sami Callihan just letting himself go. Just like have some pride, man. Like I get it. We're not all gonna be built like Bobby Lashley, but at least. Oh, by the way, another guy I didn't know was champion. 68-day reign, maybe 69. Mick Foley. I had no clue. And to me, it looked like he won that motherfucker on accident because he fell off that cage, not climbed down it before Sting did. But But there was a lot of pleasant surprises on there. But for me, Callihan and Aries are the two, and Reigns, Jeff Hardy's reign, he isn't the worst to win it. That's Sami Callihan. Physically, total package, everything about Sami Callihan as your champion is not a good look. And then Aries just didn't deserve it. There's so many guys there that deserved it more than him, and they give it to him. And beating Bobby Roode with a fucking brain bust just clean, and then that's how you act afterwards when you got to lose it to Johnny Impact or whatever he's calling him. So it's just some people just get more than they deserve, and you know me, I'm not a big fan of people that bite the hand that feeds them. It's one of the reasons why I didn't like Cody Rhodes, but it's the reason why I like him now. That guy always takes the high road when they ask him about AEW. So he learned from shitting on WWE. I might go back there one day. I probably shouldn't shit on AEW.
TW's worst champion is Sami Callihan, and TW's best champion is Ken Anderson. So with that being said, Kurt Angle. With that being said, we close on this special edition championship spotlight here at the PWR podcast at the Hami Media Group at podbean.com. What are we going to do next week? I don't know yet. We might do a what if. We might go back to the movies. We might do another spotlight. We might go episodic. I'll keep you on your toes this next night. I'll keep you on your toes. With that being said, TW, give out those socials so we can finally get out of here.
Yeah, you can follow us by following the Pro Wrestling Coalition Network at PWC Network at podbean.com. We can also find Hami Media Group at podbean.com. And yeah, they can also be found at channelattitude.com. Our X show is at PW Reflection. You can follow Big Ray all over the internet at Big Ray Hernandez, including his grinder, and you'll find him there. And you can find him every Wednesday live on the Next Level podcast on his YouTube channel, and every Tuesday live doing the Raw recap. You can find me on X and Instagram at TommyWonder19. My Snapchat is #Wonder. My Facebook is .com/TommyWonder. My other X and my TikTok are at Tommy Wonder, or at the Tommy Wonder. And you can find Big Vito and Noel at the Big Vito brand on TikTok. You don't stop.
And I will upload this on my YouTube channel at PWSOPROF. That's PWSOProf. Follow me on Twitter at the same name, PWSO PROF. That's PWSOProf. And maybe A-Track might upload it on his slow ass might upload it on the PWSO YouTube channel. But you know, don't hold your breath on that one, Reflection. But follow my brothers in arms, A-Track Brown, the dirtiest of the city, at the #8, TRAC Brown, and Billy Ray Valentine at Obi-Wan. You know me. And again, next week, what if? Movies, episodic, spotlight. I'll keep you on your toes. That being said,
how many away from 200?
We're 4 episodes away from the elusive 200.
After this, we're still 4 episodes away, right?
Of course, you know how I like to stretch things. But anyway, with that being said,
like your butthole stretch. I know that.
Shut the hell up. With that being said, I'm the professor. That's Mr. Wonderful, the idiot only. I've got to get used to this.
Yeah.
Mr. Wonderful, the Iron Stomach one, and the undisputed, undeniable Detroit Rock City Universal Heavyweight Champion of the world, Tommy Wonder saying good night, and we'll see you next time here at the PWR podcast at the Hami Media Group at podbean.com. Peace.
Bang, bang.
Out of all the champions, you're only going to do Mick Foley.
You know what? Why did he call himself Mick Foley? Should he call himself Captain Jack, man? President of Planet. Let's go!